Welcome, everyone, to UFC 297 Every Fight Breakdown. I'm Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com. We're going to take a look at all the fights after weigh-ins have been completed. Good Lord, Ramon Taveras put the cheeseburger down. Missing weight by a mile, but it looks like all the fights are still going to be on. So, official plays at Wager Talk went 1-0 last week, so I was real happy with that. And I'm going to stick to my theory this year that I am just going to really concentrate hard on some of these over and unders. I don't like these fights that go to the judges. We hit it last week, and we've got another 4% best bet that's up at wagertalk.com, and that is really what I'm going to focus on. So I'll give everyone my thoughts on who I think is going to win, but I'm also going to be looking at fights not to go the distance, to start round 2, over 1.5, things like that. So let's get into it. Malcolm Gordon versus Jimmy Flick. Oh, boy. Malcolm Gordon is now over minus 200. So the good news is you get another chance to fade Jimmy Flick. The bad news is you got to lay minus 200 with Malcolm Gordon. Jimmy Flick has just looked terrible since he's come back from, call it a break or whatever. Pretty well documented. He had some pretty bad personal issues going on in his life. So he comes back and just gets absolutely housed by Charles Johnson and Alessandro Costa. I don't know what to make too much of Jimmy Flick. He looked great on the scales. I listened to Cody Saftik say that this is like Jimmy Flick knows this is probably it, and he's been in the gym day in and day out. So maybe we get a better version of Jimmy Flick. There is no world in which I'm laying minus 200 on Malcolm Gordon. On the same token, there's no world in which I'm betting on Jimmy Flick. So I will just say with this fight, I don't care who wins. Give me the under. I like the under 2.5 rounds on this one. Malcolm Gordon has a 9% takedown defense, so if Jimmy Flick wants to go for a takedown, odds are he's going to get it. Jimmy Flick just has no striking, though, so it should be Malcolm Gordon. I don't know who's going to win this fight, but it's probably going to be a messy finish, and I do think it gets finished. It's either going to be Flick gets a nice submission on Malcolm Gordon or Gordon knocks him out. Again, I don't care who wins this fight. I just think it's not going to go the distance. And there's a pretty big difference in the line between not go the distance and under 2.5. I'm more than happy laying I'm more than happy taking under 2.5 as opposed to not go the distance. I just don't think there's that many fights that finish in the last 2 minutes 30, and you get a pretty good discount on the price. So for this fight, I'm just taking the under on Malcolm Gordon and Jimmy Flick. I don't see this fight lasting long. Could be an interesting, really fun one to watch. Maybe some comedic value in it, but I'll just take it to not go the distance. Jasmine, Jasudavicius, and Priscila, Cachoeira. Obviously, when you're looking at Jasmine, 9-3, coming off of a really big win against Miranda Maverick. But then there's a couple red flags with her. Miranda Maverick talked pretty openly about how the eye poke really affected her, and she was seeing double. And then Jasmine loses to Tracy Cortez. I didn't think Jasmine fought that bad in that fight, but Tracy Cortez really, out-muscled her at times and was really good in close. Problem is Priscila Cachoeira, not very good on the ground. I mean, we just saw Miranda Maverick really dominate and eventually gets the finish there. So Cachoeira, in order to win this fight, is going to have to somehow keep it standing. She's going to have to win some striking or just miraculously pull some kind of armbar. Otherwise, the pick is obviously Jasmine, Jasudavicius. Here's one of my problems. Everybody is on Jasmine. I have not heard one positive thing about Cachoeira coming into this fight. Now we got a missed weight situation with this fight. The obvious pick is Jasmine. I'm sure it's going to be in everyone's parlays. I think a sneaky one would be to take this fight to not go the distance. I think Jasmine can finish Cachoeira on the ground. And if Cachoeira is going to win, it's because something weird happens. A flash knockout, something bizarre. I think a really sneaky way to play this fight might be take the fight to not go the distance. It is minus 105 on DraftKings. So that would be the way that I would look at it. Jasmine is the obvious pick. Don't really like the obvious pick, to try and stay away from them. So maybe take a look at the under here. Yohan, Lainesse, and Sam Patterson. All right, we have our first baby theory of the night. So if you don't know what the baby theory, we have a fade the baby theory. I don't like these fighters. I don't like golfers. They're coming off of having a baby, and Lainesse had a baby in August. It looks like he changed camps, got rid of coaches, and my problem with Lainesse is he just has no cardio. Good power puncher for a few minutes, and then his cardio just falls off a cliff. So when you look at his fights here, loses to Gabe Green, which we correctly predicted, loses to Mike Malott, which we correctly predicted. I thought he lost against Darian Weeks. I can't believe they gave him that win. And so you're looking at a guy that probably should have lost 3 fights in a row. And that cardio is just a big, big concern. Meanwhile, we got Sam Patterson, 10-2, and man, what a brutal UFC debut. I mean, that knockout was brutal. Got hit twice. It was like he got knocked out twice in one knockout. And when you look at how he's lost twice, it's because of knockouts. And now he's moving up a weight division. Chin got decimated in the last fight. And, I mean, you got to go back to 2017, his second professional fight. But he gets knocked out in the first round. So what's the path to victory for Sam Patterson? It's get out of the first round, Sam. Try and keep Lainesse at bay. Do not let him land one of those power punches. I worry about this fight for Sam Patterson just because moving up in weight division. Now, he did do an interview where he talked about how brutal the weight cut was in the lesser division. So maybe he feels better here. I don't care who wins this fight. I think it goes under. I guess I will give an ever so slight lean to Sam Patterson, but it's not a strong opinion. I will not be betting a side on that fight. Julian Robertson and Plyana Viana, and I will just say I think Viana is pretty bad. Gets flash knockout against Jinyu Frey, great. But come on, arm bars against Mallory Martin and Emily Whitmire. And look at lost to Lucindo, loses to Tabitha Ritchie, Veronica Hardy, Hannah Cyphers, J.J. Aldridge. Not exactly title contenders she's been losing to. She just doesn't look that good when she fights. I believe this is an OnlyFans theory where, she might be planning for the next step in her career. We'll just call it that. That being said, if you want to bet against her, you get 12-8 Gillian Robertson, who just lost to Tabitha Ritchie. This fight is, I just think it's not a bettable fight. I'm not really sure how you could take either one of them. I will lean Gillian Robertson because I am that low on Viana, but I am not betting any money on this fight whatsoever. So for purpose of this video, I guess I'll take Gillian Robertson. But minus 305, no chance. I'm laying minus 305 on a 12-8 fighter. So, Serhiy Sidey against Ramon Taveras. If you watch Contender Series, you know this is a rematch. In the first fight, Sidey, we won money on this one. So Sidey just absolutely cold cocks Ramon Taveras. And I thought Sidey was going to win on the ground. He didn't even need to get it to the ground. And Dana White gets these hard odds for these people coming off Contender Series, and sometimes I just don't get it. The Haley Cohen thing, I will never understand. Ramon Taveras, I guess he's exciting. This guy's a boxer, striker, and it's kill or be killed with him. Like, he just comes in, he's going to punch really, really hard, and he's either going to get caught or he's going to catch you. And so when you look at what happened with Ramon Taveras, so Dana he says, well, Taveras, that was an early stoppage. And it was like, oh, give me a break. He was going to get ground and pounded or he was just going to get killed. So I didn't see it with Taveras. So I like Sidey a lot to get this win again. When you look at Sidey here, let me pull up Sidey's thing because he mentioned something about revenge fights and that he's done pretty well against revenge fights. And so Ali Wasik, he wins in round 4, the rematch. He takes care of him even quicker than that. So I think there was another one. Was it Watson? Whatever. Anyway, point is he's done fine in rematches, and I'm not really high on Taveras. That being said, Taveras does have a puncher's chance. So when we look at Taveras here, I'm not real high on the competition. I remember doing research on him leading into the Sidey fight. You look at some of his fights, and their guys are they're standing there. They're just cans standing there, letting him punch him. So he fights Cortavius Ramius. He gets the quick finish in there, and Dana White gets his dream, which is Ramon Taveras in the UFC. If Dana White could put Taveras and Haley Cohen on the same card, he might be uncontrolled. He might be uncontrollable, like with glee. So I think that Sidey wins, and if he doesn't get the knockout, I think he takes it to the ground and he wins again. So I like Sidey, but again, I don't care who wins. I like this fight to go under. I think this is a violent fight. And I've talked about this before. I love these guys coming off Contender Series and the road to UFC. I like betting their fights under. They're pretty uncontrolled. They love violence. They do have this kill or be killed mentality. And it's been cashing for us. So guys coming off Contender Series and guys coming off the road to UFC, these fights are just going under. And you guys know I do not like betting on fights on the main card of pay-per-views. I think those fighters can be pretty cautious. But on the undercards, they got a point to prove, so I expect fireworks in this one. Charles Jourdain and Sean Woodson. I am not very high on Sean Woodson. He's so tall and so long, and yet I just leave his fights, and I'm just not that impressed with it. Like, I mean, he beat the crap out of Dennis Buzukja. And he didn't get to finish. I mean, Dennis Buzukja's short notice, I believe, and he's not very good. And Woodson couldn't finish him, and I don't see the killer mentality. I know, okay, great, he knocks out Colin Anglin. Split decision against Youssef Zalal, but loses to Julian Erosa. So I'm just not really that high on him. And Charles Jourdain is going to have the home crowd, obviously, but winning against Kron Gracie, I was not that impressed with. I thought Kron Gracie looked terrible in that. And before that, loses to Nathaniel Wood. Now, it was a good showing against Nathaniel Wood. I believe in round one, he actually kind of rocked Nathaniel Wood, but loses to Shane Burgos. So he's coming off of the win against Kron Gracie. I'm not that high on him, and he pulls out a wicked guillotine on Ricardo Ramos. But the thing is, Ramos had taken him down, and that's where the position came from. Credit to Jourdain. It was a gnarly guillotine. I'm going to lean ever so slightly on Charles Jourdain to win this. But again, he's minus 205, so I don't find value in that. I do like this fight possibly to go the distance. I think Sean Woodson, his fights, this just sets up really, really well. It sets up for him to use his length to keep Jourdain at bay. I think Jourdain kind of wins a close one by decision. Maybe that's a way to go at it, Jourdain by decision. But I don't think Woodson's going to let himself get caught, and I don't think he's going to put himself in harm's way for a submission. So I think it kind of stays on the fight. I think it might be fairly low volume, especially from Woodson's side. So I lean Charles Jourdain, but I do like this fight maybe to go the distance as a prop, or maybe to start round two if you're looking for just some kind of parlay piece. I don't see a finish in this one. So before we get going to Brad Katona and Garrett Armfield, just want to let you guys know what we have up at Wager Talk is a Saturday pack. We have a loaded card on Saturday, and it's going to have our 4% UFC play that is in there. It's going to have any NFL plays that we have. It's going to have our NHL plays. We are on a 17-5 NHL run, and it's also going to have any Australian Open and soccer plays that we may have. So Saturday is a big, big day. We barely had any plays on Friday. If you're watching this on Friday, I think we may have a couple of small Australian Open plays. But we have Saturday circled, and we're just going to put all plays into one pack. So I would encourage everyone to just go grab the Saturday pack. The UFC play is already in there, and then throughout the day Saturday, we will be adding plays to it. So go grab that Saturday pack, loaded card, and we should have I'm looking forward to a really profitable Saturday. A lot of great spots. So, all right, Brad Katona and Garrett Armfield. It's a Brad Katona fight, so you're looking at overs. It's a little bit juicy here to take the over. I mean, like over 2.5 is minus 195. So Katona, not real high on him, but man, that fight against Cody Gibson was really fun. I mean, but just look at these. I say it's juicy, to go decision. But look at it. I mean, decision, randomly gets Gilly, and then decision. So, yeah, Brad Katona, he's got great cardio. His striking isn't deadly, so he's pretty decent on the volume. He's pretty accurate with his strikes. It's just like not flash knockout power. And then when we look at Garrett Armfield, he comes in and last second faces David Onama, who I know they knew each other from the previous promotion. And then, come on, he knocks out Kazama, who's terrible. So it's kind of hard to figure out where Garrett Armfield fits into the UFC. I'm going to lean Brad Katona in this one. It's not a strong opinion, and even the over is not a strong opinion because I just don't really know what to make of Garrett Armfield. Just the results are the results. Both of his UFC fights haven't gone the distance. So I think Katona wins this one, probably mostly on the feet. Maybe he works the clinch and tries to get a takedown on Garrett Armfield, but it's Katona for the win. Lean some overs, but this is a fight I will not be betting. Main card, first fight, Arnold Allen and Evloev. So Arnold Allen was saying, like, nobody will fight me. That's why I have to fight Evloev. So, he gets the great win against Dan Hooker, and then the Calvin Kattar. Kattar's obviously had the knee injury, but just early in the fight, it looked like Arnold Allen was gonna pull away and end up getting the win. But then kind of gets humbled against Max Holloway. It's Max Holloway in a boxing match. What are you going to do? So we have this interesting situation where you got Evloev, who undefeated, but he's coming off of a knee surgery, had the knee injury. And his last fight against Diego Lopez, man, wow, was that close. He almost got submitted, I don't know how many times. It wasn't a great performance from him, but at the same time, trying to get ready for somebody else. He fights this unknown guy, like with hardly any film on him. So I don't know how much we can take away. He looked great against Dan Ige. His striking looked great. So for everyone that's worried about Evloev's striking, his striking offense looked good. I think we got questions about his striking defense. I'm on the fence on what to do with this one. I lean overs, but Evloev is so good on the ground that I just wonder if he can get Arnold Allen down, if he's able to work some kind of submission. That being said, Evloev goes the distance. Diego Lopez, distance. Danny Ige, distance. Akeem Dawodu, distance. So I have a lot of respect for his ground game. Just not really sure if he can get the submission on that. If you're betting this from a side, the value is probably on Arnold Allen at plus 154. I don't want to bet against Arnold Allen. And I really am nervous and cautious about some of these fighters coming off of knee surgeries and knee injuries and their first fight. So we've seen Casey O'Neill is the most recent one where everyone was on Casey O'Neill. And I was worried about that knee injury, and sure enough, she looked terrible. So if you're betting it, I think the value's on Arnold Allen. Talk about a puncher's chance. Absolutely, he could. So probably overs is a good way to go, but the over 2.5 is minus 345. Good Lord. Probably no value in that one. Going to be a really, really fun fight. No bets on that one for me. Chris Curtis versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Striker's delight. Chris Curtis is minus 185. I don't really know what to do with this one from a totals perspective because both these guys are tough as hell. Both can take a punch. Both can deliver a pretty good punch. So Marc-Andre Barriault, though, I just think this is a pretty big step up in competition. Eric Anders' striking is nowhere near what Chris Curtis's is. Julian Marquez, just got tired of Barriault. I believe that was a fight where he kind of pulled the rope-a-dope and kind of turtled up, and then just Marquez tired himself out. So loses to Anthony Hernandez, wins against Jordan Wright, who doesn't. I like his movement on the feet. I think he's got pretty good striking, but I think Chris Curtis is just going to be a little bit better with his striking. So you got Chris Curtis coming off of, 2 fights in a row that have been affected by accidental head clashes. So this is really interesting. The accidental head clash, he wanted to fight, but I think he was on his way to losing that fight. So that could have been 2 in a row. I lean Chris Curtis in this one just because I think he gets the better of Marc-Andre Barriault on the feet. The over 2.5 is minus 160. Probably that's... If Curtis is going to knock out Barriault, which I think that's the only way that this gets finished, is a Chris Curtis knockout. I think by the time it gets into round 3, I don't know if Curtis is going to have the knockout power. So I would just take it to go the distance if you think this fight has legs and is going to go a while. So lean Curtis, lean to the over, probably not getting the window on this one. Neil Magney and Mike Malott minus 380. Oh boy, and Neil Magney. I just have not been impressed with Neil Magney in the slightest recently. So there's just a lot of holes you can poke at in his game. I mean, Gary just tortured that leg. Pretty amazing that I can't believe that actually went the distance. Split decision against Phil Rowe, easy win for Gilbert Burns against him. So, I mean, split decision, that could be 3 losses in a row. He chokes out Daniel Rodriguez, but he loses to Shavkat. Everyone's losing to Shavkat. Again, split decision win. So, 2 of his wins have been split decisions. In this fight against Jeff Neal, Jeff Neal was not right. Jeff Neal's talked about it, how there was something going on in his body. I don't know if it was nutrition or something, but wasn't going well for Jeff Neal at that time. So I have a lot of questions at Neil Magney. I cannot find a reason to bet Neil Magney before the fight. But with Mike Malott, the big question, of course, and this is what everyone brings up, is like, well, how's his cardio? Do we know? I mean, against Fugate, okay, he makes it in round 2, but before that, against Lainesse, gets the win in round 1, and you just look at these finishes, round 1, round 1, round 1. So I love Mike Malott's story. I think if you're going to take Malott, you might as well just take him to win by finish, because that's just kind of what Mike Malott does. I guess Neil Magney could survive, but if it goes to decision, I actually would lean Magney in that one, because if it goes to decision, I could easily see Malott has gotten tired in round 2. Maybe Magney loses round 1 convincingly, but then squeaks out round 2 and round 3. So if I'm looking at Mike Malott to win by TKO or submission, it's minus 190. Not great value, but it's certainly a hell of a lot better than trying to lay the minus 380 or whatever it is. So if you're betting Malott, it's probably by finish, and it's a great live betting opportunity. We got a couple fights here with great live betting opportunities. You could just watch, and if you see Malott starting to fall off, if his cardio isn't there and Magney weathers an early storm, you could fire a live bet on Neil Magney. But could take unders, but in the end, I think you're just taking Malott inside the distance. Pennington and Mayra Buenasilva. Here's our second baby theory of the evening. Raquel Pennington. Baby in June. Her and her wife have their baby, and I saw videos of her showing off her baby, and looks like she got Greniers. There's a red flag. There's just red flags all over for Raquel Pennington, in my opinion. And these are theories that we have worked on. We have worked for years. So, okay, she wins against Caitlin Vieira. Split decision. It was close. Aspen Ladd, unanimous. So I thought that fight against Caitlin Vieira was really, really close. And who was the one that was bleeding in that fight? It was Raquel Pennington. So I don't know. I should believe in Raquel Pennington, but I think Mayra Buenasilva gets the better of her. So I do not worry about this drug test that she failed. It was Ritalin, basically, and she talked about, she's like, I stopped taking it a week before the fights anyway. Not performance enhancing, in my opinion. So I think Mayra Buenasilva is the way to go here, and I've seen money come in. So if you're going to take Mayra Buenasilva, I think you probably wait until closer to the fight. See if maybe this sneaks down to minus 155, maybe even minus 150. I like her submission game. Obviously not. She hasn't fought the greatest of competition. I mean, Lena Landsberg, Stephanie Egger, Yanan Wu, loses to Fiorot, but everyone's losing to Fiorot, and then she does get the win against Holly Holm with that crazy submission. So I like Mayra Buenasilva. I think she's going to make a legit run at a title, and I'm not ready to get there with Raquel Pennington. And I think the line says a lot. I think the line is telling us a little bit of a story here that Silva is this big of a favorite. Because you're like, well, Pennington, been around forever, on a winning streak. And then you're looking at Silva and you're going, well, not the greatest of competition, and she just failed a drug test, and yet through all that, she's still a minus 166 favorite. So I believe what the line is telling me on this one, that Buenasilva is the way to go. Again, here's another live betting opportunity. Mayra Buenasilva can fight like a clown sometimes. She can showboat. She can do that thing where she puts her chin out in front and then puts her hands behind her back, and it looks ridiculous. And it doesn't look great to judges. And if she does that in a 5-round fight, she can lose rounds. And if she looks like she's getting tired and Raquel Pennington isn't, it's a really good live betting opportunity. So before the fight starts, I will take Mayra Buena-Silva, but I will absolutely have those live lines rocking, ready to go to try and get myself out of it if I see Buena-Silva screwing around or, starting to get tired. So as far as the overs or unders, I mean, Pennington is super durable, super tough. So is Silva. But Silva's shown she can just pull a submission out of nowhere. So if you're taking an under, I think that's kind of what you're counting on, is Silva just pulling off a submission out of nowhere, and I'm just not ready to bet on that one. So not a big play, but I do like Silva since we have the fade the baby theory. Sean Strickland and Duplessis, probably the most obvious live betting opportunity on the card. You got Duplessis, who had the nose surgery, and apparently that fixed his cardio. I don't know if I'm ready to go there in a 5-round fight against Sean Strickland, but these lines have gotten real close. It is basically even odds on this one. And I will tell you, I lean ever so slightly to Duplessis. And again, I will have those live lines because if Duplessis' cardio starts to go and that fight is close going into the 3rd round, Strickland's going to pull away in the later rounds. So when I'm looking at Duplessis, he comes into the UFC, and we were making money off of him. I mean, we loved him against Perez, gets the win. Giles loved him. Brad Taveras loved him. Darren Till loved him. Derek Brunson loved him. I did not like him against Robert Whittaker, and that was probably his best fight. So there's a case to be made about Sean Strickland's record here, and follow me on this one. So, okay, he has the motorcycle accident. We know that. So he has a slew of really good wins. The fight against Jack Hermanson was really fun, really good. Split decision. Gets absolutely floored by Alex Pereira, and then loses a really close one against Jared Cannonier. But I believe that was a short notice fight for Sean. So comes back, gets the win against Imavov, who I have questions about. I not real high on Imavov. He gets the knockout over Abus Magomedov, who is shown to have absolutely no cardio. And to be honest, Abus I thought he was teeing off on Sean Strickland in the 1st round. So if Abus has any cardio, that fight possibly goes different. And then the fight against Israel Adesanya, I remember watching that fight live. And I remember Adesanya standing there in the ring. And I remember thinking to myself, Adesanya's going to lose. He does not look right. And he didn't look right, fighting-wise. It just looked... when I look at Israel Adesanya's record, I thought it was just a perfect storm for Sean Strickland there. So, Adesanya, look at all of these wars that he's been in, defending the title, chasing the title, loses to Pereira, goes all in on his next fight, gets his revenge against Alex Pereira. And what a letdown spot, an obvious letdown spot. Look at all these guys that he's fought over the years. And as soon as I saw him in that octagon with Sean Strickland, I thought he's going down. This doesn't look good. So I don't think Sean Strickland beat the best version of Israel Adesanya. I think he beat one of the worst versions that we've seen of Israel Adesanya. Duplessis, he's getting the best version of Duplessis. I thought that Robert Whittaker win was probably the best win that either of these guys have really had. Just wasn't that impressed when I went back and watched Sean Strickland's last couple wins. Credit to him. He got the job done. Completely deserving of the championship. I'm going to ever so slightly lean to Duplessis to pull off the win here. But those live lines, if Duplessis' cardio starts to fall off, it is going to be Sean Strickland. That's going to be Sean Strickland all day if the cardio starts to go. An interesting prop, if you like Duplessis, let me look and see what is Duplessis to win by knockout. I don't know. That one could be pretty fun. Duplessis to win by knockout is 2-1. It's interesting. I thought Sean Strickland was almost knocked. It was almost on his way to get knocked out by a boost until his cardio went off. So, Duplessis, if you like him to win, I think it might be by knockout because I'm not really sure how Duplessis wins a decision against Strickland. Strickland is going to go. I mean, he's going to go all day long until he, with his boxing and his range and his takedown defense, he can go forever. So, pick his Duplessis by KO, maybe just a little sprinkle. So. For my official bets, I am really going to be focusing on the early prelims and the prelims. I think that's where the value is, especially on some of these overs and under. So Gordon and Flick, I'm just taking under on that one. Jasmine and Cachoeira, probably, I think a good value on an under in that one. Lainesse and Patterson, slightly into Patterson, but I like the under. Gillian, Robertson, Plyana, Viana, no opinion. Sidey and Taveras, I like Sidey to win, and yeah, you could take Sidey inside the distance, as I think that fight doesn't go the distance. Jourdain and Woodson, I like Jourdain. I like overs in that one. Katona and Armfield, I like Katona, and I like the overs ever so slightly. Arnold Allen and Evloev, really good value on Arnold Allen. I had forgotten about that knee. I liked Evloev quite a bit, but man, that knee injury has me second guessing. So it's probably Arnold Allen. I'm certainly not betting it, but stick with that one. Chris Curtis, Marc-Andre Barriault, not a strong opinion, but I guess I'll lean Curtis and overs. Neil Magney and Mike Malott. Probably Malott. Inside the distance might be a good way to go. I like Mayra Bueno Silva. It's a little bit chalky, so maybe see if you can get a better line, wait closer to fight, and then I like Duplessis. The line is moving on that one. So if you do like Duplessis, you might jump on it now because it's moving towards there. So I think I got a lot of favorites on this card, but I feel pretty good about it. Like I said, I'll be focusing on the distances. So if you guys want official plays, they are at wagertalk.com. 4% UFC play is up. It is in the Saturday pack, which includes all of our plays. It's going to have all of our sports. There's going to be NHL plays. We're on a 17-5 run in there. It's going to have our NFL plays. 44-25 run on those. So looking forward to a really, really big Saturday. And if you guys want to watch the fights live with us, just join the YouTube channel Takedown Live. Myself, good buddy Jim Malero, will be joining me, and we will be live for all of the fights. It's going to be a late one. We're on the East Coast. That is going to be a late night, but should have a lot of fun and a lot of profits. Good luck on all your plays. Hit the like button and leave me a comment. Tell me who you like, and we'll see everyone later.